What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of me trying to realistify RecRoom enemies. Today we're going to be looking at an ILS bottle thrower, and I also threw in a swasher for good measure. So we're going to be going through here, and I'm going to be commentating on my thought process throughout. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment down below, let me know what you think, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we're going to be doing more of these. And I hate to be one of those YouTubers, but a majority of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me, and you can always change your mind later. So, without much further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. So there's two ways that I could have gone about this. One, of course, is using real skeletons, which would be more realistic for sure. Second would be to use the model from RecRoom and try to make it more realistic with textures and shading and some real pieces on there, like real bandana, whatever. Originally, I wanted to try and keep the natural shape of the bottle thrower from the game, so that's what I started with, and overall it just didn't work out for me. But I started out by cutting out shapes, running a bone texture over them all, and then trying to start piecing it together with pants and a real bandana. I ran a leather belt over it, and I attempted to start shading it, and it just wasn't working out very well for me. So I ended up giving up on that and switching over to real skeletons. So these guys were much easier to work with. They already have pretty much all the shading and everything on them. You just have to kind of color correct them. I found these two skeletons. One looks like he's walking towards you, the other one is running, but it kind of looks like he's throwing, so I think he'll work pretty well for the bottle thrower. And then I'll use the other one for a swasher. So take that sword, I cut it out, I'm going to use that as a saber, and then I color correct one of the skeletons so that they're both, relatively the same color. And then I start with the background. Obviously, I want to go with a beach feel. The idea behind the scenery is that you've just landed on the Isle of Lost Skulls, the water's behind you, you're looking onto the island, and this is the welcoming committee. So, take me a couple of pictures of the sandy beach, set them side by side, and kind of start masking them away to make just one big picture. Then I want the sand to kind of run out and run into like a grassy field before it runs into the mountains in the distance. So I had this grass texture and I was trying to get it to poke up through the sand, and again, just wasn't working for me. So I decided to kind of set that on the back burner. Start with the mountain, cut it out, and then I found another grassy picture which ended up working a lot better. I added a nice starry night because I felt like the night would give it an extra creep value, and a nice bright moon, which was way too big to start out with. The glow was huge, so I ended up going back and making that much smaller. Once I got all that fixed, I went back to the grass, kind of changed the perspective on it, got it flattened out a little bit to where it looked a little bit better, and then decided to add a second mountain range and color corrected the sand so it looks like it's nighttime. Cutting these things out are loads of fun. So once I get that cut out, I'm going to go ahead and start trying to mask away the bottom, make sure it's kind of behind that mountain, and then start color correcting it. Then I started throwing palm trees everywhere because, beach. Really had no idea what I was doing. I ended up removing them. And then the background just wasn't working for me, so I ended up adding a nice fog layer to kind of separate it, darken the grass up because, it's night. And I think that it made it look a lot better. Kind of eerie fog in the distance. It's a little bit short. I think I go back here in a little bit and I'll make it much taller. Darken up the palm trees that I'll be removing. And then we bring in the skeletons. Give this guy his saber, tried to warp it to maybe kind of like the shape of the game. Wasn't working, decided to just go with the regular shape. I like it. Give it the nice red and gold hilt like the game has. And then kind of adjust these guys. Then I'm going to run this guy's thumb over the handle so it looks like he's actually holding it. Get rid of those palm trees, they're gross. And then start darkening that up because it's dark. Then I blacked out his eye sockets and dropped in some stars for his glowing blue eyes. Thought it was a nice touch. Give this guy his eyes so he can see. Darken him up a little bit, start color correcting, just tons of shading. Give the guy the bottle, give it a little bit of a blur, make it look like it's actually been thrown and it's moving. Start adding some highlights. Then start adding some shadows below him, make it look like he's standing in the sand. Of course, this is what's going to change everything, make it not look like he's floating. I did try to give these guys clothes, like you have in the game, and it's another one of those things I'm not good enough yet to do that. It wasn't working for me, so we got naked skeletons. So I had a nice bright blue layer over it so I could give the eyes a good glow. Decided I did want one palm tree somewhere in the image, so I kind of set it off to the side here. I love palm trees, if I've never mentioned that before. Absolutely love palm trees. So now I'm going back and correcting the fog in the background, make it a little bit taller so it's not like ankle high. And then we're going to start giving these guys what we can. Give him a bandana. Give this guy his orange bandana like he's supposed to have. Go in, start color correcting it, shading it, adding a shadow below it so it looks like he's awning. Then we're going to give him his belt sash. Got this nice image of a belt, just kind of warped it into place, cut out what I didn't need. And a sweet little belt buckle, which I'll go in, color correct, make it nice and gold. Darken it all up, and then I'm going to duplicate it and set it behind there so that it looks like it's going over the back of his shoulder. And then darken that up real nice. Now we got to give our swasher his red and white polka dot bandana. Then around this point I remember that he actually has an eye patch and not two eyes, so I go back, remove that eye, add the eye patch, correct everything that I messed up in that process, and yeah, it looks a little bit better. Go in, correct the shadows a little bit more, just keep trying to tweak them as much as I can to make sure everything kind of looks like it fits. I was able to give these guys their wristbands though. Found this image of a wristband. Get rid of that white trim around it that's bothering me, and then duplicate that for all their wrists, kind of warp them into place, make it look like it's actually sitting on there. And then I'll go back and add shadows and everything, kind of make it look like they're sitting on their wrists and not kind of floating there. Once I'm happy with it, I go in, add my camera raw filter, adjust the levels till everything looks good, and here's the final product. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below which enemies you guys would like to see done next. And I will see you guys in the next video.